Some tasks make withdrawals on my energy budget, and some tasks make deposits in my energy budget. And if I spend the entire day making withdraw after withdraw after withdraw without ever making a deposit, it shouldn't surprise me that by the time I finish getting the girls to bed, I am slumped in my chair and unable to even think about doing one more thing. Do you want to be an amazing, present mom and have a real identity of your own, but you struggle with mom guilt and complete overwhelm when you even think about trying to do something just for you? If so, you're in the right place. Hey, I'm Laura, a former teacher and university career counselor turned stay-at-home homeschooling mom of two. Over the years, I've learned a thing or two about how to be the present, engaged mom I've always wanted to be and rediscover my own personal identity at the same time. So, if you're ready to rebuild your identity, rediscover your confidence, and let go of the mom guilt, then get the kiddos settled and grab an earbud because this podcast is for you. Real quick, before we dive into this week's episode, I want to invite you to book a Mosaic Mom Life Clarity Call with me. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling unsure about what God is inviting you into next, or if you simply just miss having that sense of direction, this call is for you. We're going to spend an hour together talking through your story, your strengths, and where you are right now. Then we'll identify one clear, practical next step you can take with confidence. So you don't have to have your whole future figured out. You don't need a polished plan. You just have to show up to the call, and we will figure out your next step together. So if that sounds like the kind of support you need right now, you can book your Mosaic Mom Life Clarity Call at scatteredwoman.com/clarity. A couple of years ago, daily mom life left me more than just tired. I was exhausted, perpetually exhausted. I enjoyed motherhood. I couldn't imagine doing anything differently. I loved homeschooling my girls. I loved teaching them. I was keeping us fed and clothed, mostly, even if we tended to eat out more than was probably good for us or our budget. And our clothes were often piled in baskets and cluttering up the couch rather than being neatly put away in dressers and closets. But at least they were clean, right? And then after a full day of cooking, homeschooling, running errands, cleaning, doing my VA work, and managing household, I was just beat. And that alone was discouraging. If I was doing a decent job at being a stay-at-home mom, why was I always so doggone tired? But the shift finally came when I started learning about the working genius. You've heard me talk about this a lot. I'll link some of those episodes in the show notes for you. But the biggest thing Working Genius gave me was an understanding that I wasn't tired because I was doing this whole stay-at-home mom thing badly. I was tired because I was constantly working in my frustrations and not making time to use my geniuses, which are the parts that give us energy. Those are the things that would have given me the energy I needed to power through the rest of my day. Then all of my failures, quote unquote, at motherhood, like not getting the chicken thawed in time to stick with our meal plan, or not getting the clothes folded and put away, I could finally look at them and instead start seeing those tasks as energy drains. It wasn't failure. They were just draining any energy I had to do this mom life well. So if I could just plug the hole with tasks that gave me energy, even for just a little while, I could change the whole energy budget of my day. Instead of spending my day getting further and further and further into the red, I could give myself little energy deposits, if you will, to at least get myself back to zero. And the more I spent time working in my geniuses, the more energy deposits I made in my day, the further into the black I could get. So when I needed to work in my frustrations, like we all do, when I needed to do that work that drained me, I would at least end up less in the black and I wouldn't go fully into the red again. So I wasn't completely energy depleted. I wasn't in the red on energy. I was at least still kind of in the black. And that shift in perspective has changed the way I approach my days now. I know the kinds of tasks that give me energy, and I know the kinds of tasks that drain me of energy. So I've started thinking about my energy more like that budget I was just talking about, where some tasks make withdrawals on my energy budget, and some tasks make deposits in my energy budget. And if I spend the entire day making withdrawal after withdrawal after withdrawal without ever making a deposit, it shouldn't surprise me that by the time I finish getting the girls to bed, I am slumped in my chair and unable to even think about doing one more thing. So, how do we actually do this whole energy budgeting thing? How do we budget our energy when we're moms and there are still plans to make and laundry to fold and kids to teach and errands to run and a million little things that aren't necessarily energizing for us? I want to give you 3 practical ways you can start making more energy deposits in your day. Number 1, know what tasks are deposits and which are withdrawals for you. Every single one of us has working geniuses, those types of work that we do that give us joy and energy. And we also all have working competencies that we can do, but they don't necessarily give us energy, and working frustrations. Both those competencies and frustrations are types of work that are eventually going to drain us of energy. Now, if you're not real sure what I'm talking about, I want you to go take the Working Genius assessment. You can go to workinggenius.com. It's right there for you. Super simple, very quick to take, and so much good information there. So start with that. If you have not yet taken the Working Genius assessment, highly recommend. But that will show you what your working geniuses are, what deposits you can make in your day. And we want as many of those tasks in our day as we can fit in. Then look at your working frustrations and your working competencies. Those are your withdrawals. We know we have to do this kind of work. We don't get out of it just because it's not in our genius. We just need to balance our energy budget around them. So do a quick inventory of your day through this lens. What parts of your day are spent working in your geniuses, making those deposits, versus working in your competencies or your frustrations, those energy withdrawals? I quickly saw when I did this exercise that my days were swallowed whole with galvanizing kids and enabling housework and enablement tenacity VA work. So I was mostly working in frustrations for me with a sprinkling of competencies thrown in. But I had very little built-in time for invention or discernment, which are my geniuses. So take that inventory. That's step 1. Learn what tasks are deposits and what are withdrawals for you, because yours are probably going to be different than mine. Step 2, arrange your day to better balance your energy budget. So once you've figured out what your different energy tasks are, you can figure out how to structure your day. For me, I am way more likely to get the laundry folded and the kitchen cleaned up if I've spent a good amount of time working in my geniuses earlier in the day. I have energy left over to do those tasks that drain me. So, in order to build up more of my deposit tasks, I started the podcast. I started spending more time creating engaging games and activities for homeschooling my girls and the homeschool co-op that we participate in. Doing creative things that would give me time inventing and discerning in my geniuses. Now, I was still doing and still am doing all the keep the house running withdrawal tasks that I've always done, but I built in time for working in my geniuses and building up those energy deposits. Now, my days typically follow a specific strategic energy pattern. So first thing when I get up, I am spending quiet time inventing, discerning, learning something new to fuel up for the day. Then I dive into housework like starting laundry, baking bread, easy things that don't really require a ton of mental energy, but they're not in my geniuses. Then we move into things like homeschool, and that's genius work that fills me up again. And then I have some energy to dive into my work block. So I'm doing some VA tasks that are draining, but sometimes they're energizing. And then I do some work on the podcast, which is generally energizing. So by the time we hit evening and it's time for dinner and rest and spending time in my geniuses just in my down time in the evening, so that when we hit our nighttime routine and the girls have, gone to get ready for bed, I'm cleaning the kitchen, I'm folding laundry, I'm doing the things that I don't necessarily love to do. They are not in my geniuses, but they have to get done. So I've built up enough stores that I can do that. And I don't usually spend huge chunks of time in my frustrations anymore, which absolutely helps with balance. So I'm building in little bits and pieces throughout the day, kind of front loading energy deposits so that when I need to make withdrawals, it's not a big deal. Now, some of you may just prefer to quote unquote eat the frog and get the tasks that drain you over with first so that you can spend the rest of the day filling up with your genius tasks, with your deposits. Totally your preference. You just decide on an energy strategy that works for you. Whether you want to front load, whether you want to do it intermittently throughout the day, whatever works for you. That's step 2. Just figure out how to balance your unique energy budget. Okay, so now we know what your withdrawal and deposit tasks are. You're working on strategically balancing your day. So we move on to step 3, which is to partner with others to balance each other out. Just because you're the mom doesn't mean you personally have to plan and do everything for your household. You can make it a team effort. So grab your husband. If he's around and able, involve him. He is likely an opposite to you in at least part of your working genius. So the things that stress you out, that overwhelm you, that drain your energy are going to be energizing for him, possibly. Same thing with your kids. Kids have energy to spare. So teach them to do the housework things that they're going to need to know as adults anyway. Use that time to teach them and get them involved, have them start owning part of that running the house tasks or whatever part of mom life is draining the most for you. And then the third way you can do this is to bring in friends to help balance you. I talked about this in episode 24, where we talked about the lie behind the stay-at-home mom identity crisis, where we tend to think we have to do all the things all the time, all by ourselves. And we don't. So if you're not sure how to go grab some friends and get somebody to really walk alongside you with this, go back and listen to episode 24. I promise it will help. So the goal isn't to become a mom who can do everything. The goal is to understand the pieces of your mosaic mom life that God has already given you. Learn how to use those pieces well and ask for support in the areas where you need support. And maybe the biggest thing I want you to hear today is that you don't need to become a different kind of mom. You don't need to become a mom who plans amazing vacations when you hate planning. You don't need to become a mom who never forgets to defrost the chicken, even when that's been your MO for years. Maybe you just need to make a little more room to flex your genius muscles and make a few more energy deposits in your day. It is all about balance. So, here is your homework. For the next 3 days, I want you to pay attention to your energy. Ask yourself 3 questions. 1, what drained me today? 2, what gave me energy today? And 3, where can I intentionally make one small energy deposit tomorrow? So you're looking at the things that are making energy withdrawals, you're looking at things that make energy deposits, and then trying to figure out where you can build in one more piece for an energy deposit. What can you do to give you just one more small bit of energy to power you through your day? It might be something creative, if that's one of your geniuses, or something you're curious about, something you're naturally good at, something that makes you feel like you again. Because we all know as moms, we sometimes just don't feel like ourselves anymore. This is when we can start building in time for things that make us feel like us again. So you're going to build in a little bit of time to do one thing, one energy deposit. Then you're going to notice what happens to your energy once you make that addition. You don't need to completely redesign your entire life this week. Just pay attention and see how one little energy deposit can change the rest of your day. And if doing this exercise makes you realize, I don't actually know what gives me energy anymore, or I know I need something different, but I have no idea what that thing is. That's exactly why I offer Mosaic Mom Life Clarity Calls. Maybe you know something needs to change, but you don't know what. Maybe you have a bunch of ideas pulling you in a bunch of different directions, or maybe you just know that somewhere along the way you lost touch with some of the pieces of who you are, and you really would like to reconnect those pieces. A Mosaic Mom Life Clarity Call is a one-on-one conversation with me where we'll look at your past, your personality, your gifts, your interests, and what's stirring in your heart right now, and start putting those pieces together. So you don't have to figure out your entire future. The goal is to help you get clear on what God may be inviting you into next and identify one practical next step. So if that sounds like what you need right now, head over to scatteredwoman.com/clarity and book your Mosaic Mom Life Clarity Call. I'd love to help you start putting some of those pieces together again. Thanks for taking time to hang out with me today. I hope you'll discover new pieces of your Mosaic Mom Life each week. If you've got a quick minute between those never-ending snack requests from your kiddos, I'd love for you to leave a quick review over on the Your Mosaic Mom Life page on Apple Podcasts. Those reviews help other moms find the show, discover their unique purpose, and start building a life they'll love too. Well, that's it for now. Be sure to check back next week for another new episode, and I'll be talking with you again soon.